Hello again. In the endgame study in front of us, we have to decide, can white save this game, or is it impossible? It does admittedly look pretty bleak for white, but he has one or two resources. Let's just take a look at what doesn't work. Well, marching this pawn on, then quite clearly it does have to be captured, and it would be. Now the question is, can white save the game here? Well, the fact is, if he takes this pawn, like this, black has time to do this. And then all that white could do is play here, and now it would have to be captured, admittedly, like this. And then it's a race, and you will find that black wins it. And as can be seen, white cannot get to that pawn in time. Incidentally, if we just put all of this back for a moment, if he did do this, which is a mistake of course, and instead of capturing he decided to move his king, you can, in fact, push this on, because what must be remembered is if the king continues to move, black can simply capture that. But what is an interesting resource is simply this, and now white must go away from where he wants to be, back into the corner, because otherwise, if he moved this way, black would queen the pawn. So he moves there, and all that black has to do is to move in line with this pawn, so he's blocking it. White would have no option at all but to take this in order to move his king, and then of course, and the pawn cannot be stopped. There's no way that he can. So that works very well as well. So what all of that proves is that b6 is not an option. So what else does white have in that position? Well, if he took the pawn immediately, like that, black would take back, and if you notice here, black has the opposition, and what he can do is, as white moves this way, he just stops white from making any progress at all. All that we need to do is to play like this and take the opposition. If he pushes on, that's fine, just exchange it and a c pawn becomes a b pawn. Otherwise, black just moves up here, captures it, gets in front of his c pawn, and the king in front of the pawn enables that player to be able to promote eventually and win the game. So there's no way that white could save that game. So that is no good either. However, all is not lost, because if we go back to the start position, there's a very interesting ruse that white can employ here. Can you see it? Well, it's king g1. And now black, of course, cannot afford to push this one square or two. Two would be opposite, and white would queen the pawn and win the game. So what black has is down here. Now, supposing he pushes this on, what happens? Well, for the same reason as before, he has to go into the corner. And now what does black have? He can't hold on to that pawn, can he? He just can't. And if he plays like this, then white simply takes the pawn. And then things are looking bleak for black. How does he deal with it? At best, black might be able to secure a draw, but I would fancy white's chances there just a little bit. It would be still difficult, but white is certainly not losing that game, no way. So that has to be ruled out for black. So again, after king to g1, we've ruled out any move of the black pawn here. We've ruled out that. What about taking here? This looks rather problematic for white, doesn't it? Well, not so, because if you imagine no pawns there, that's stalemate. So all white needs to do is to push this pawn on. Now black has to take it, otherwise he's only 2 squares away from queening, so he takes the pawn, and like I've just said, that is stalemate. Now, there's only one other option for black in this position. Let's just take a look at what it is, and that will wrap things up. In what is a most interesting endgame study, white has just played king to here. Now, clearly, the black king doesn't want to get too far away from being able to move in sympathy with white's king. So it moves to either here or here to keep control of this pawn. So at this stage, of course, there's no problem. He can take it. And clearly black does have to take back. He has nothing else. So he takes it. And now you see what's happening. Yeah, we move in sympathy, but white has the opposition this time. He can dictate how the play goes. And when we get to here, this sort of situation, it is effectively a dead draw. There's no way that any progress can be made in that position. You can just play like this if you want, and he has to go here. He can't approach the pawn because the king and the pawn stop him. That would be a dead drawn position, and that's the net result. With perfect play on both sides, you have a draw there. I hope you enjoyed that one, and goodbye for now.